talk about thought distortions and in cognitive behavior therapy. And this is very important because it requires you to be more vigilant on your thoughts. So you don't accept every thought. You don't have to accept every thought. And not every thought that arises is true. So it helps you perceive the world differently because then you won't just accept every thought. And this could be the reason why you're suffering, right? It can bring you pain, it can bring bad feelings. So it improves the quality of your thoughts and that you don't have to accept every thought. Because sometimes we are just used in a way of thinking and it has become just permanent way of thinking and maybe it's not true. So I'm going to talk about these thought distortions, and if you want to go more in depth and you really want to learn more about them, I do have a workshop that you can take on my website bossofmyfeelings.com that also has a part where I go through 7 happiness myths, which also it could be the reason that you have so much pain and suffering, because the way you're perceiving happiness and the way you think about happiness is what's making you feel this emotional pain. So let's get started. The first one is overgeneralizations, right? This thought distortion is not a good way to think, and we have to remember, right? We have to be intentional on how we're gonna think and not accept every thought. So if we think of overgeneralizations, it hurts us because then one event that goes wrong, one isolated event, is determined of who we are in our whole lives. So if you make one mistake, it means you're a failure. That's an overgeneralization. Everything is made out of that one thing, and that's not true. The second thought distortion is global labeling. Global labeling is when we have those harsh labels for ourselves. I'm ugly, I'm stupid, or I'm dumb, I'm helpless, or I can't do anything. That's global labeling. That's one thing that I also talk in my book, because labels are not who you are. A way you can fight this is by replacing the label with a fact. When you catch yourself, just say, oh, I caught a thought, and celebrate instead. Celebrate that you noticed that you were calling yourself a name, and be like, oh, I choose no longer to call myself that label. Third thought distortion is filtering. So when someone's telling you something and you only filter, you only pick up on the negative, you completely disregarded, didn't notice the good things they said about you. You only spot the bad things they say about you. That's a thought distortion. Polarized thinking is like perfectionist, right? Or it's like it has to be perfect or I won't do it at all. So it's either black and white. The way you can overcome this is practice the gray. Try to embrace imperfection, embrace progress instead of perfectionism. The next one is self-blame. It's when you consistently internalize everything that goes wrong. Everything's your fault. There's no way that everything that goes wrong is all your fault. Personalization. When you take everything, like everything has an indirect message that's for you. You negatively compare yourself with everyone else. The next one is mind reading. You assume that you know what others are thinking. You assume, oh, they probably don't like me, agree or care about you, and so on. Without any evidence, just assuming, you're predicting, you think you know what the people are thinking. Control fallacies. Control fallacies is when you think you have control over everything, and if you don't, you are a helpless victim. And the last one is emotional reasoning. You assume that everything is the way you feel about them. So you navigate the world through whatever you're feeling. Your feeling determines your whole reality and everything. The way you can fight these thought distortions is, by writing. You can do this exercise, which at the beginning when you're learning cognitive therapies, you do a lot of manual exercises, and this works with your way of thinking. And then after you do a lot of manual exercises, with practice, suddenly it will become your automatic way of thinking and analyzing and perceiving the world. So to start, if you have any of these thought distortions, write a column. This is what I'm thinking. This is the thought distortion that it belongs to. And now this is the new way I want to think. Or a rebuttal. Like, this can't be possibly true because. Let me know in the comments if you try the exercises, if you realize, if you catch yourself and you were able to rebuttal those distorted thoughts. And if you want to learn more about my online courses, visit bossofmyfeelings.com. And while you're there, you can download for free a sample of my book. And I'll see you in the next video.